What is your ha ha ha, oh wait you're serious moment? When my 60-year-old father told me he broke his hip paragliding into the roof of his hotel. Edit. I should add it was my parents' 60th birthday and this was their wild spontaneous event. New friend. I really shouldn't be doing so many extreme sports, but you gotta live your life. Right? I'm gonna end up in a wheelchair by the time I'm 30. Me. Ha. I know. Right? New friend. No, I mean really, I have a degenerative disease that's going to ruin my body by my 30s, so I'm trying to live my life now. Started a new job in a company where my boss worked in 2 different offices. He wrote himself a note on legal paper. He handed it to me and told me to fax it to the other office. Then he told me to call them and tell them to put it on his desk there so he could have it tomorrow when he arrived. I smiled because I thought he was playing a joke on the new guy. He was not. He loves faxing. I listed my Ford Explorer for sale. A guy emailed me to trade his 2018 Kia Forte or something. I didn't really need one since my fleet already had a 2013 Kia Forte, but he emailed me a few times saying he wants my Explorer but owes money on his Kia. I said how much? He said it's an 8-year finance deal so need to pay in total $45,000. And he wanted my car. I could buy that car right now for $25 $30K at the dealership brand new. He was dead serious. Waking up from general anesthesia. One of the nurses by my hospital bed gently informs me that my heart had stopped while I was under. I thought I was dreaming for a while. And didn't take it seriously. Then my dad showed up. And I saw the panic on his face. Then I phoned my mom. And she had obviously been crying her eyes out. Then I took it seriously. Breaking news. People panic buying toilet paper. Me at home. Ha ha ha. Me at grocery store. Oh wait you're serious. This was a few years ago. I forgot how the topic was brought up. But I clearly remember my older sister saying, "There aren't any modern buildings in Egypt. Just pyramids." When I was in high school I received a message over MSN from a buddy saying, "Mitch is dead." Thinking he got into trouble. I responded with, "Ahaha, what did he do?" It turns out, he had a brain aneurysm while driving home from school. When I was in college, 2 friends and I went out to a cheap Chinese buffet for a weekday lunch. We were probably not particularly well groomed or dressed at the time. So at a nearby table there a woman and a man having lunch. Both dressed in business attire. After they finish, the woman, probably in her 20s, comes over to our table out of nowhere and starts chatting with us. Making normal chit-chat. Kind of odd but maybe she's just friendly. All of a sudden she asks, "Do you guys like to fuck?" We just looked at each other and laughed nervously because how do you respond to that in this situation? She just stood there, completely serious. I don't even remember what we said to her after that. This was 20+ years ago. But despite sounding like the beginning of a porno, it was only followed by another round at the buffet. Not a gangbang. Someone once said to my friend, "Wait, you're Chinese? I always thought you were Asian." I asked a coworker with what his son's name was. And he answered Legolas. After 2 seconds of laughing I realized he wasn't laughing. His son is actually named Legolas. I'm in Australia. And first heard the news of 9/11 on my morning radio, USA Evening. I was stuck in traffic near the army base. And they announced it with sirens. To start off with I thought it was a comedy sketch that I didn't think was particularly funny. I had a pretty dark sense of humor. too. Then I realized it was news. Holy shit. Someone wanted to euthanize their dog because when she was put outside alone in heat, she found a chihuahua and had ugly puppies that cost a breeding session. When we asked what that had to do with anything, he said, the chihuahua's sperm is forever inside of her and can make those ugly puppies instead of the purebred. This dog was definitely not a purebred. When we said that things don't work that way, he said, I know for a fact they do. That's why my daughter is half N-word. N-word. Raped my wife back when she was in her 20s and his sperm stayed inside her until mine activated it. And we all know, sperm is more violent, so it won. He was serious. I once worked with a 50-some-year-old guy at my first job, who also happened to be a former crackhead. I added in that detail because his mannerisms and communication were clearly affected by his prior drug use. And he would sometimes laugh when he was telling serious stories. One day he was telling me a story about him accidentally setting fire to the woods when he was trying to cremate his dead pet frog when he was a little boy. I was laughing my ass off. Strangely, so was he. Until he looked me dead in the eye, with a face that's as serious as they get, and says, "I'm still not over it." I knew that look and knew he was actually being serious despite being in absolute hysterics with me while telling his story. I immediately felt like an asshole. He was cool about it though, thankfully, lol. An intern at the vet I work at was a very sheltered Mormon. He came to work one day panicked. He had his first kiss the night before, asked the girl to marry him, and was concerned about his wedding date. He was absolutely convinced that he got her pregnant by kissing her. Absolutely convinced. It took me a long time to register what he was panicked about because it sounded so absurd. He'd delivered hundreds of kittens and puppies by then. I just thought he had also learned about human reproductive anatomy as well as animals by then. Yesterday my mother called to tell me that she thinks I have the coronavirus. I have seasonal allergies and no symptoms related to the virus. By the way, she then proceeded to tell me that scientists discovered the virus cannot live over 133 degrees Fahrenheit. At first I got excited that a breakthrough had been made and thought maybe I missed the news announcement. Then she said, "Yeah, so they're saying if you plug in a hairdryer and keep breathing in the hot air it will kill the virus and you will be fine." I immediately started cracking up because I thought she had made a joke. Then she got very offended and said it was a real scientific video she saw on Facebook. Facepalm. Colleague's wife confronting me on speakerphone. "Are you having an affair with my husband?" My exact response was to roar laughing, managing to offend them both simultaneously. Good job, geek peeps. When my friend told me she was getting a divorce, I literally laughed and said, "Oh, sure you are." Then I saw her face. I came into my job and my boss was running a bit late for an unknown reason. Now, my boss is the type of person to joke about anything, no matter how serious it is, and will pull it off with a straight face. We never really take him seriously unless it is directly related to work. He comes in after being late and after a bit, just casually says our close coworker had passed the previous night. I literally chuckled and said, "Yeah, sure," and blew it off. He then said that he died from a heart attack before he was set to go out with his buddies during the evening. I then said, "Oh wait, are you actually serious?" And he almost started crying right there and said, "Yes. I miss that man to this day. Really chill guy with some cool hobbies and volunteer work." I also feel so bad for my boss because they had known each other for years. Coworker was telling me the world was flat. I'd never met a real flat earther in the wild before that. My estranged auntie sending me a message to disinvite me to my sick but alive father's funeral because, wait for it, I had lunch with my little half-brother and sister, and that is disrespectful to my father. My father never let me and half-siblings meet before this lunch had occurred, and by meeting them, he disowned me. Literally. That's it. Just my fucked up family. I was at work. I work in retail, and me and my coworkers heard a loud boom, but we didn't think anything of it. 5 minutes later, an older lady who is in the store almost every day, maybe in her 50s to 60s, came up to me and said, "I just drove into your building." I looked at her, and right before I began to laugh out loud, I realized she actually did. Patron, I have a complaint. Me. Yes? Patron, there aren't enough books here. Me. Looks around at the library that we are standing in. Me. Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes people just take our books home with them? Haha. Patron. Greater than 8. You used to have more books. Me. Oh. When I came back from lunch at work to find that one of the soft drink vendors, because at grocery stores they stock their own product, our stockers don't, loaded the pallets wrong and a tower of pallets fell, spilling soda, tea, glass everywhere. The boss, store manager, just so happened to walk into the back room at the same time, looked at me, and was like, "You saw it. You're cleaning it up." Thinking he was joking as he liked to do. I laughed it off. That's when he looked me dead in the eye and said, "No, I mean you're really cleaning it up because that's your job." Insert me spending the rest of my shift cleaning it up and my department head constantly calling me over intercom and getting yelled at and then written up the very next day because I didn't do my duties in addition to cleaning up that epic mess. Getting fired later that year was one of the best things to happen to me. Friend 1. Hey man, how come you decided to shave all your hair off? Friend 2. The chemo kind of decided for him. Friend 1. Aw fuck off Joe. No seriously though. How come? Me. He's actually not joking. Funniest shit that ever happened to me. Edit. I'm basically fine now. On close monitoring for the next few years but no further treatment. Thanks for asking. New relationship with a super nice lady. Romantic weekend getaway. She suggests an afternoon float down a nearby river in a canoe. I know from experience canoeing is a serious test of relationship potential. My ex-wife and I couldn't even carry a canoe from the beach to the bay without getting into an argument. Anyhow, new relationship. Super nice lady. I'm determined to be a great team player and competent man. I have plenty of experience on the water. This should be a cinch. Canoe livery guy drives us to the drop-off. While he is taking the canoe off the trailer and telling us how long the float is and where the pickup point is, I am looking at the river. The wide, slow-moving river. The extremely slow-moving river. Along with the fact that it is a blustery windy day, I can't for the life of me tell which way the river flows. Some leaves are floating left. Some leaves are floating right. I toss in a stick and it just floats around in a circle. I'm starting to sweat. I figure I have a 50-50 chance of guessing correctly, but if I guess wrong it could be a disaster. Having to ask is a total embarrassment. I'm hoping the livery guy makes some reference to direction, but no. I'm desperately hoping to see someone else float by, but no. I picture us paddling upstream for 2 hours and being lost on the river. Livery guy hands us our paddles and says, "So, if there's nothing else, I'll see you in a couple hours. Have fun." I bite the bullet and decide that asking is the best way forward. Yeah. Which way is downstream? Livery guy and super nice lady both laugh, thinking I'm joking. No, I'm serious. Livery guy stops laughing and just points. I'm sure he was thinking that was the most stupid thing he had ever heard. We paddle downriver a bit and super nice lady says, "Boy, am I glad you asked. I thought downstream was the other way." When I learned I had totally forgotten to attend almost every single class in one of my college courses. I forgot I had enrolled in it. A classmate asked me, "Haha, where have you been? You're never there when the teacher's taking attendance." And I was like, haha, funny. So anyway, wait, fuck. Luckily it was only about a month into the semester and I managed to bring it back up to a low B.